Hey everyone, good afternoon. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day to join us today. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the fine folks over at ShopPros for sponsoring today's presentation. So with that, we will get started. So many of you know me, some that may not, but I often get asked, Mike, how did you grow your company so big? What's your secret? And I always give the same stock answer, and that is I give credit to our team. For me, it's truly been a team effort, any of the success I've had. So this afternoon, I would like to share some of the insights I've gained throughout my 30-plus year career as a shop owner. Hopefully by the end of this presentation, you will be able to have picked up some nuggets of information that you can use on your journey to, for success here. So a little bit about me, a little background. Gill's Garage opened for business in 1966 as a Sunoco gas station. It was founded by my parents, Gil and Lucille Brewster. It was a two-bay gas station. Right next door in 1969, Sunoco built a brand new three-bay station for my folks, and they operated that from 69 to 79. While I was away at a Chrysler training school in 79, my folks decided to build a brand new facility that they would own rather than rent. And they had purchased land directly across the street from the Sunoco station in Burnt Hills. And that's the location that our Burnt Hills location is still at today. It was, as I was saying, it was a four-bay station and a garage. It really, were no gas pumps there. So when I graduated, I moved back to the area and went to work for my folks in that new facility. We kind of, bumped along and grew the business until about 1985. In the fall of 85, we found out that my dad had a malignant brain tumor, and he passed away about 10 weeks after we had originally found out. And during that 10-week time frame, my wife and I became the parents of two little twin girls. And we didn't know we were having twins at the time, but that's what came out. So it was interesting. And all this happened at at the ripe old age of 25. So it was a lot to digest at that time. But looking back on it, for me, it was probably the best thing because I wasn't able to dwell on any one thing very long. That my whole life seemed to be spinning pretty fast. Getting back to the shop, we've expanded it twice. In the 1986, I had added 6 bays. We had the plans to do so before my dad passed away, and one day he and I were talking, and he said, you know what, I think you should go ahead with the expansion. Whether I make it or not, you're going to need the space. And I said to myself, I go, oh my God, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't say Mike's Garage on the building. It says Gill's Garage. And, I don't know if I'll have any customers if he doesn't make it. But as it turned out, people still came in, and we went ahead with that first expansion. And we went, from 86 to along about 98, 99, we decided to expand the building again, added 10 bays. And once we got those 10 bays opened up, we closed down the front building, completely remodeled it, made it customer waiting area, service area, and parts. So today we have 16 bays in Burnt Hills, and it's the same configuration since the 99. I'm a husband, been married to the same gal for 35 years now. Our proudest accomplishment are our 3 children, the twin girls that are 32 now, and we also have a son who's 28. And a relatively new addition to our family is my grandson, who is 20 months now. I had the opportunity to meet Gary Gunn at a ASA event in the fall of 1997. And he encouraged me to join ASL and then ShopPros today. And so that was a nice 20-year run. And I got to tell you, one of the best decisions I've ever made in my business career was joining the 20 group. Having a coach and having a peer group to hold me accountable and provide encouragement has been an absolute invaluable resource for me. I'm an avid golfer, and even the best golfers in the world have a coach and mentor. So that's something that I really feel strongly about. It's helped me along. In 2012, we opened our second facility. The reason for that was we knew that Burnt Hills was kind of becoming, it's a bedroom community and there's not a lot of growth here. So we felt like our business has expanded about as far as we could. So we were looking for new opportunities. We opened that store in an old retail building. So we didn't build the building from scratch, but we completely remodeled it and opened the doors in August of 2012. Had no previous business, but we had marketed to the area and we knew that we had some brand recognition over there. And it's turned out to be a great situation for us. We just finished up the year in December, and we did $2.1 million in that location. So it's coming on strong. Between the two facilities, we have 23 lifts, 23 technicians. On average, we work between both stores. We work on 2,175 cars a month. And on an average month, we do about $625,000 in sales between the two stores. So can have a lot going on for sure. So that's about me. So let's get to this thing called culture. Here's a little definition of what culture is. Culture is made up of the values, beliefs, underlying assumptions, attitudes, and behaviors shared by a group of people. In other words, culture is actually the character and personality of an organization. And here's the deal. Every organization has a culture. So why not deliberately nurture the kind of culture you want your business to have? I often say my business is an extension of my personality. So why is it important? Culture guides discretionary behavior, and it picks up where the employee handbook and the policy manual leave off. Culture tells us how to respond to an unprecedented service request. And for me, the culture is all about the team and making sure members have a fun, safe, productive work environment. Absolutely critical. So now that we know what it is, why should we care? Well, better moods equal better performance, hands down. A job shouldn't provoke stress in employees. While the work may be difficult, the culture shouldn't add to the stress of the work, and it's quite the contrary. The culture should actually be designed to alleviate some of the work stress. We all know what we do can be stressful at times. So if the culture's there to support our people, it just makes a better situation. Customers can sense a positive, healthy culture. We've all experienced warm and inviting cultures and felt welcome in a certain environment. We've also experienced just the opposite, where we're in a situation you can feel the tension amongst the place. It just doesn't even feel healthy. We just want to conduct our businesses and get out of there, get some place that feels warm and safe. So that's why, for me, again, culture is so ultra important. Culture starts with a vision. You know, what do you want your company to look like and feel like? At Gills, our vision, you know, we have four main goals, and we start every meeting with talking about these goals. So, you know, first, we're here to serve and satisfy our customers. You know, it's just not about making money. So we really want to foster a long-term relationship with our people, our customers, our clients. You know, it's not transactional, it's very much relationship based. So we talk about delivering the promise, not only the words that we've spoken to the customer, you know, the spoken promise, but all the unspoken promises about their expectations that we don't verbalize. You know, like the car's going to be fixed right the first time, how important that is, how it's going to be done on time, how it's going to be clean when they get it back, all that unspoken promises. We also want to provide the best workplace possible for all our team members. We need to remain profitable, or we can't do the first two. And a big part of our culture here at Gills is to maintain a positive presence throughout our community. You know, and we do that with financial support and volunteerism. You know, and talking about the vision, we also talk about small details. We talk about, you know, continually about, you know, having the customers' cars backed into the parking spaces, having the floor mats neat on the floor, which I know sounds kind of crazy, but it's these small details that make the difference with the customer. I don't want a customer to get in a vehicle and find 3 or 4 floor mats wadded up underneath the brake pedal. You know, for us, we have a system. We can't always pull the customer's vehicle up when they're picking it up, but we try to guide them to where their car is parked. And sometimes if somebody doesn't follow our process, that can get a little messed up, and we'll have some customers wandering around in the parking lot. And so, you know, we talk about helping people find their cars. Don't just duck into the side door because you've parked another car. If you see somebody wandering around, make sure you help them out. If you pass somebody within 10 foot of you know, of your space, your personal space, acknowledge them, you know, smile and say hello. You know, we always treat, you know, even our drivers, you know, the vendors that deliver parts, they're drivers with the utmost respect. And it's, again, it's just an extension of our culture. I like to say, you know, often every single employee is responsible for our reputation in the culture here that we have. So with that said, I'll share with you some of the key elements of what I believe to be a healthy culture and why they're important. So when I was doing a little research, I ran across this gentleman by the name of Paul Spiegelman, and he happens to be the Chief Culture Officer of Stericycle. I didn't even know there was such a title, but I thought it was pretty cool. And so I kind of stole some of his key elements and sprinkled in how we use them here at Gills Garage. So to get started, core values, you know, using them as a guide for daily decision making, again, talking about them in team meetings and so forth. Setting a high level of standards. You know, I know this is an old cliche, but here we talk about treating everyone how you want to be treated. And I know there's variations of that, but we try to keep things simple here. Camaraderie, you know, that team spirit, knowing one another, having some fun is ultra important. You know, longevity, traditions. You know, here in the Burn Hill store, we have an average tenure of 18 years. So I guess all that really means is that we're getting older. But anyway, you know, knowing one another, knowing everybody's strengths, and it really helps us perform at our best level as a team. We often spend time together away from work, which is something I'm going to get into more here in a little bit. we certainly know each other's kids, grandkids, and, their favorite sports teams and their hobbies. So I think that's very helpful in building that team culture. And I really believe people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And so, it's that culture that builds that. It's a very wordy slide, so we'll cut it down. But celebrating, recognizing the team for their accomplishments, I think is really, really critical. We also like to recognize individual events, birthdays, their anniversary dates here. I know roughly how many years everybody's worked just off the top of my head. I certainly I cheat. I use a calendar to remind me when birthdays are coming up and when anniversary dates are coming up. We like to celebrate milestone events as well. We do monthly birthday cakes as a company, gifts to team members for, if they have birth of a children or grandchildren, more so these days, especially in Burnt Hills. We use flowers, balloons, personal notes, signs, whatever. And we just acknowledged at our company holiday party, two of our folks here in Burnt Hills got recognized for 25 years of service. So that was a very special event that doesn't happen every year, obviously. Community, I talked about that being one of our goals in the beginning, but connecting and giving back to the local community. It gives folks in the community a real sense of caring, and I feel it's been a great asset for us, and you reap what you sow, so to speak. Some of the things we do, we sponsor all the local teams, the kids teams, even some adult softball leagues and so forth. There isn't a charity organization around that we don't sponsor in some way. We give away, fundraiser raffles, we donate items, we'll give gift certificates. We like to support the career days at the local schools. We have students that may be interested in auto repair that can come and visit and learn about automotive technology. The local middle school sponsors what they call Spirit Day a couple times a year. And we actually have kids sign up to come over to Gills, and they spend time here. They get a tour of the shop. They get an opportunity we put a car up on the lift, and they get to use the air tools and battery powered tools and so forth. We'll take tires off, and we hand torque the wheels, and we talk about automotive safety and that kind of thing as well. Again, a little extension of what I was saying earlier, Sunshine Club, we send cards, and I give my sisters all the credit for this. We send cards to customers, milestone birthdays, get well soon if we hear somebody is not feeling well or they had surgery, thinking of you, and we even send out sympathy cards. One of the other things we do, and these are go over real well in the community, but we have some volunteers, mostly family members. We bake these holiday cakes, and we give them out to local vendors, our parts vendors, some of our key fleet customers or big customers, some of the local businesses where several of our customers work. We give these out at Christmas time. We also help other local businesses, celebrate their milestones. So community, again, a big piece of company culture. Continuing on, caring. Show your employees you genuinely care about them as a whole person, not just their business life, but their personal lives. Take an interest in what's going on with them. You know, I quite often meet with folks one-on-one, not as often now that we have a couple of locations and about 40 employees total, but you know, whenever I get some alone time with an employee, a team member, I ask them personal questions. How's things going? Not only about the business, but you know, what their personal goals are, how the kids are doing. You know, if they're an avid bowler, you know, what's your average this year? I know most of their you know, favorite sports teams or their hobbies, what they like doing. Drag racers, how'd you do this past weekend? That kind of thing. I've had people ask, well, how do you keep track of all this, Mike? And you know what, take notes, you know, and I keep a little journal of, you know, somebody's had an important event with the kids are going out of town for cheerleading or whatever. I always be sure to ask when they get back, how did they make out? How did it go? Did you guys have a good time as a family? Seek friendships, you know, make an emotional investment in your people. Again, it really pays dividends. You know, have a commitment to learning. Show your team you're committed to their professional growth, even personal growth. Like I said, sometimes we sponsor our people going to a college course or an adult ed course that has nothing to do with their job, but you know, it's something they're interested in, and we'll support them in that financially. You know, provide ample opportunity for learning. Like I said, we sponsor in-house training. I try to lead by example. I always share what I'm doing, what I'm reading, what industry event I've been to recently. I try to bring back some nuggets of information that I've learned or reminded me of when I was traveling around the country. Encourage knowledge sharing, not only with yourself, but between staff members. And as best you can, provide easy access to schools, classes, seminars, whatever. So let's see what else we got here. Consistency. This is key. You know, a lot of times we'll start something as companies or owners, business owners, and we get busy and then it kind of falls off. But, you know, some key elements, you know, just make sure that you have it happen. You know, for us, it's our monthly team meetings. There isn't a month that goes by that we don't schedule them. And if I say, oh, it's too busy, the team said, no, we got to have it this month. So again, these types of things need to happen on a regular basis if you really want to build a healthy culture. You know, one-time events, they just don't make it. You know, I was talking about our annual holiday party. That's something that everybody in the company looks forward to. We make a big deal out of it. We go to a nice facility. It happens to be a restaurant in an old factory. They have a second floor, so we have some space for ourselves. Over the years, for some unknown reason, it's become like a masquerade party. So folks dress up. Not everybody dresses up, but I always bring a bunch of props. So I have a couple of huge boxes of hats and wigs and funny clothes, and even the folks that don't dress up, by the end of the night, they've got, you know, they're wearing some of these props, as I call them. We sponsor company outings. We've done go-kart racing. We have a summer picnic where the whole family's involved. Another thing we do, you know, usually just before a holiday, we'll do barbecues. We have lunches catered, you know, for our folks, and Thanksgiving, we call the Thanksgiving feast, you know, just before Thanksgiving. And part of the reason we do this is it keeps our people here on site so we can cut down on the lunchtime sometimes a little bit by doing so, because usually before these holiday things, these days off, we are jamming busy. So we're trying to get everything done so we can go out and enjoy that holiday with our family. We do lunches, like I was saying, on a hot day, I'll send our cleanup guy down and buy a bunch of Gatorade or freeze pops. So again, it's just a small token of, our appreciation for our team. We always have a pizza fund. And then, the running joke around here is that, the coffee, milk, and donut bill every month is a small mortgage payment. But, again, these things may not be things that you're able to do, but you'll figure out something that, in a small way that you can genuinely show your appreciation to your team. This is another critical portion, in my humble opinion. Don't isolate yourself at the top. Sometimes as owners, we get so busy doing owner stuff that we come in and we go right in our office and we got all this pile of paperwork to do. Manage by walking around. Get out and force yourself to get out of your office and get out into the shop or get up front and check in with people. Make sure that they know you're there and walk around, ask them how they're doing. Don't be afraid to show a little emotion. I always say I'm a no drama guy, but I love to laugh. Sometimes these guys have even seen me cry. So I think that's it's important for them to see a human side of us. Join in the team lunches. Some folks go out to eat every day. I eat in the break room. I'm a brown bagger most days. Fridays usually a little different. We might bring something in, but just make yourself seen throughout your facilities. The guys are pushing a vehicle in, no start, and I'm there. I'll jump in and help them push it in. There's nothing. If somebody spills something, I'll help clean it up. I just think that helps folks realize that we're human as owners, and there's no task too small, especially if we're asking our people to do it. I never ask anybody to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. Chronicles. Again, I think it's important for folks to new folks especially to have a little history of the company. In our employee handbook, it starts out with a little history, a little timeline of key events and milestones in our company, and great stories about overcoming difficulties make great company lore. And again, it helps people know that they're joining or belong to something that's bigger than themselves. Some of you have visited our stores before. You've seen the timeline. We celebrated a milestone, 50 years in business in 2016. So we put a timeline up in the offices, and we have a lot of customers comment about that. How nice it is to read that storyline while they're waiting. Share stories from your personal beginning and struggles. I think it's great to talk about the good old days, but I think as owners and managers, we need to talk about the future too. It's nice to talk about the good old days, but don't live in the good old days. Look and live for the future. Be present today, but talk about all the good things that are going to be happening ahead. We like to talk about past employees and share their legacy and some of the memories. Certainly over 50 years, we've had a lot of great people work here. So for me, here's the granddaddy of them all: communication. And this is where it all starts, and it all falls to great communication. It is absolutely, the foundation. my humble opinion, for every successful organization. So all kinds of communication, formal, informal, at all levels, you know, up and down the food chain, so to speak. I talk about our monthly meetings because I think that's very, very critical. We talk about our strategic plan. We talk about the overview. We have shop reminders in that hour meeting. Now, how we do ours, we do it because we work multiple shifts here in Burnt Hills. We do a mid-month, midday, midweek. That seems to be the best time where it's the least intrusive to our business. We have a meeting room upstairs in Burnt Hills, so we'll leave 2 people downstairs to answer the phone and wait on anybody that walks in, but we actually block out time on our schedule for that hour, and we actually block out an hour and a half. And like I said, we try to be over in an hour and 15 minutes. But that is the time for us as a team to talk about strategy, development, and there's even a piece where I used to call it SOS, same old stuff. Again, constant reminders about those floor mats, about parking, the way we park, the way we interact with our customers, as well as the strategy stuff. We also have weekly department meetings. We call them toolbox meetings, and they're more operational topics, you know, follow up if we're seeing an issue. You know, they're usually just 10 to 15 minutes long. We'll do those once a week with the guys. We do daily huddles, you know, where we're talking about updates and issues, and they're usually just a 5 or 10 minute thing, and we do them several times a day. You know, make sure you're including everybody in your communications. You know, different types of communication, written, obviously, spoken word, body language. I mean, you can be talking, but make sure your body language kind of aligns with the words you're speaking. You know, otherwise it won't be as impactful. You know, obviously using technology today to communicate is wonderful. Talk to text, cell phone, email, text messages. We use walkie-talkies from the parts department to the guys in the back. Thank you, Joe Nelson and his crew for that. He's the one that turned us on to that. We also use our point of sale software where our guys clock in and out, whether they're coming on the shift or they're taking a break for lunch or whatever. There's a little message box that pops up. So that's the reminder of our company meeting or our monthly goals, how we're doing. Every day we update that with our goal sheet. So again, why is all this important? You know, again, the culture tells us whether, you know, it's worth the risk of telling our boss about our new ideas and whether to surface or hide problems. Our folks make hundreds of decisions on their own every day, and the company culture is their guide. Culture tells us what to do when the boss isn't in the room, and as we know, that's probably most of the time. So, as Richard Flint and Gary like to say, have a presence even when you're not present, and culture will do that for you. Here's some of my additional thoughts on this whole deal. It starts with leadership, you know, and we have to be strong leaders. John Maxwell, in the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, I believe it's law number 5, is called the law of the lid. An organization cannot grow beyond the abilities of the leader. So, you know, I'm constantly trying to raise my lid as the leader of our company. I think it's ultra important for us to stay upbeat as owners, managers, you know, speak in positives, you know, try not to be negative, put the most positive spin on a situation. You know, if there's no cars coming in the shop, you know, say, geez, it's a lower car count day, so let's do our best to make every car count today. You know, instead of saying, oh my God, we got no cars. You know, positive reinforcement, recognize good effort and good work. Back to the communication thing, but make sure you're communicating your expectations. You know, I'm constantly talking about, you know, what we should be doing as a company, and recognizing the folks that are meeting those expectations. Interact with your staff daily. You know, making a personal connection with each team member, again, is very critical. Challenge the team. Don't be afraid to set high goals. You know, it's good for us to get out of our comfort zone and stretch a little bit, and we should expect the same for our team. I think it's important to set an example that you want followed, and you know, try to work the hardest. People may debate that, but you know, it's one of the things that I try to do. Some more thoughts. You know, give the credit to the team, and don't be afraid to be the one to take the blame when something doesn't go as planned. You know, I'm constantly saying I'm sorry for something, but you know, I never try to take the credit. I always try to give the team the credit. I think it's beneficial to try to be humble. You know, have your actions being consistent with your expectations of others. You know, and again, this is something I try to do on a daily basis, but be someone people want to be around rather than the person that everybody's trying to avoid. And I try never to put money before people. I always look at the people side of things first. You know, those four main goals that we talk about as a company, we have to be profitable, but at the end of the day, I can make money tomorrow. If I don't make money today, I just need the relationship to stay intact. So that's what I really work on the most. Here's some recommended reading. Some of the things that I've found helpful in you know, my pursuit of growing as a leader. Certainly, I mentioned a few moments ago, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. I love John Maxwell and the stuff that he speaks about. Another book that I found very helpful, The Game of Work by Charles Coonrod. In there, he goes into pretty good detail about why folks will get up at 4 a.m. and traipse 3 miles into the woods to go hunting, but yet, you know, during the week when it's time to go to work, they don't pursue work with the same enthusiasm, you know. And the gist of it is to make work a game, and he's got some great ideas about how to do that. So I would recommend that book for folks that are looking to build a great culture. I love Simon Sinek. He's got a lot of great stuff, but you know, one of the books that he has had out for a while is Leaders Eat Last. And again, it kind of puts a perspective on being a servant leader, and you know, our organizations don't serve us, that we serve the organization. I think that's very helpful. And you know, Grant Cardone, again, he's got a couple of things out there, 10X, but be obsessed or be average. And a good friend of mine, Richard Weiss, gave me that book, and I really enjoyed it, and I've passed it along to others. So I think that's about all I have. I'd like to thank the fine folks at ShopPros again for sponsoring today's presentation. And you know, Kristen, I don't know if we have the ability to take any questions here, or if this is going to be it.
Yeah, we do. So there's actually a few that came through during the webinar. So I'll read those to you now, Mike. And then anybody else who has a question, you have the option in the software. You'll just see, you can either chat, or next to that, there's a button that says raise your hand. And so if you raise your hand, then I will unmute you and you can ask Mike your question directly. So the first question, Mike, is how do you manage the culture of a fun environment as well as accomplish the goals of the company? As often the times these are conflicting, and would you agree?
So would you mind repeating the question?
Oh,
Kristen, I'm sorry.
yeah, no problem. How do you manage the culture of a fun environment as well as accomplish the goals of the company?
Well, that is a great question. And again, we get so serious on reaching our goals. Make it fun, make it laugh. I mean, I don't like to laugh at somebody else. You know, I don't like to do it at somebody else's expense, but I love to make fun of myself and different things I do. You know, trying to think of what are some of the fun things we do. You know, again, I'm fortunate that we have some other folks that like to have fun in our company too. So they'll make fun of themselves, but you know, boy, a little embarrassing that I can't come up with anything, but
On the
because
spot.
it is true. You know, having fun and accomplishing the goals of the company can be conflicting, but you just have to really work at it. And maybe I can do some follow up after I give some of these questions some thought.
Well,
But
here's an
great
easy
question.
one. Here's an easy one then. What
Oh, yeah,
CRM
you're gonna give me an underhanded softball now,
No,
huh?
no, no. Yeah, here's a nice easy one. What CRM are you currently using and why?
CRM, we use a lot of different things. So, you know, for marketing, Kukui, we use some of the products from Mechanic Nat. We're using optimized social media. We use Mudlick Mail. So, you know, marketing is something that years ago we never put much effort into, but now we probably, as a percentage of our gross sales, it's a minor amount, but the real dollars add up pretty quickly for us. So 2%, 3% of gross sales is all we spend on that kind of stuff.
Okay. Do you perform performance reviews of your team members on a yearly basis?
Yes, we do. And, you know, with that said, I would tell you that the folks that I feel like need more coaching and more feedback, you have to do them more frequently, but we do try to spend some formal time. And a couple of the things that we'll talk about is personal short-term and long-term goals. Like my young people, you know, I'll talk about, you know, saving for a house or whatever. It may not be financial. It could be, you know, something that they want to accomplish on a personal level. But we also talk about short and long-term professional goals. So, and I may not take notes while I'm talking with our folks, but as soon as they leave the room, I jot down a couple of the key things, and then I have a file folder that's not their employee file, but it's kept for my own personal reference. So when I meet with them again, I recall what we talked about.
Okay. Thank you. And here's another one, Mike. What did you do to become so efficient with your processes?
We work on our processes continually and just keep honing them. You know, we look for roadblocks or what I call pain points. So if we drop the ball consistently in one area, I try to, you know, have our team look at why that's happening and what can we do to prevent that. And again, longevity with the staff helps with that. So we're not constantly training new people, although we have a fair amount of new people. They're working next to people that know our processes very well, but it is an ongoing honing of the process, no doubt.
I just have somebody here, Mike, requesting to see the slide again that describes what culture is.
What culture is. So we'll go back to the beginning. Sorry.
What we can do too is send out the slides to everyone. So afterwards.
And everybody's you'll receive a recording of the webinar too afterwards. We can send a package of slides too.
Awesome. We're getting there. Oh, I went right by it here.
Somebody commented too, Mike, that they really appreciated the comment about I can make money tomorrow and relationships are paramount. And they just said that we all need to remember this.
Well, I truly feel that way. And that's again, the culture that we built this company on, you know, and I know there's different beliefs that we're here to make money. You know, that's some owners' belief, and that's fine. But, you know, we even joke about it. Some days, you know, we joke, well, there's a couple of phrases we use. So, you know, when we're joking about it, we're not here to make friends, we're here to make money. But then the flip side of that is today was a friend day. We didn't make any money, but boy, we made a lot of friends. So that's one of the things we joke about.
Gotcha. Okay. Mike, I have somebody with their hand up here. I'm just going to try to allow them to talk.
Okay.
Okay, Colton, do you have a microphone? I think you may just need to unmute yourself on your side. You should see a microphone there with a line through it. If you click on that, it should unmute you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Perfect. Hello?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, so my question is, and maybe this is just due to the kind of lack of culture, and when you said about the whole culture, it's popped up in a few books that I've been, you know, listening to. But when you find out that people are bottlenecks, right? When you try to give them all the resources you can, whether it's trying to, you know, help them out with anything with their personal life, or if it's just something that they, you know, they just don't have the drive to do something and excel. And again, it may just be due to lack of culture. But when do you decide that when you call it quits for that person and let them go? Because obviously you spend the time and the resources to train them up, right? So it's you've given an investment to them. But when do you decide it's quits for that?
Well, that's a great question. I believe the best in everybody, so I may go so long, but there's times when it just isn't a good fit. And here's how I would handle a situation like this. And some folks that have heard me talk on this before, this will be a repeat, but I think it's worth saying again. So I never say, look, you're just a bad person and you don't fit our great company culture. How I would spin that is, look, you know, I owe you an apology. You know, I try to provide the best workplace possible for everybody, and I just feel like our culture isn't a good fit for your personality. You're a great person. You are going to thrive in a different environment. I just feel bad that I can't provide that environment for you. And believe me, it's not you, it's me. And I've thought about it, and I thought about it, and I just can't figure out a way to allow you to thrive in the culture that we have. So, you know, based on that, I've made the decision that, you know, it's probably best that you pursue other employment opportunities. So it's been fun. I'll help you any way I can, but you just can't work here anymore.
I like that. That's good. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Great question.
I've got another one here, Mike. Do you have an employee benefits plan?
Absolutely. We very rich benefits. Again, it's something that we can talk about, but on the surface, we offer health insurance, and we pay the lion's share of it. For singles, we pay almost all of it. For two-person and family plans, we pay the lion's share of those plans as well. We have life insurance for everybody. We have disability insurance that the company pays both of those. I'm big on retirement. You know, every time I get an opportunity to talk to young people, I say, start saving for your retirement now. So we have a 401k plan that does a match, excuse me. And along with that, we also have a profit sharing plan. So everybody in our organization who works more than 30 hours a week has an opportunity on a pro rata basis to participate in that profit sharing plan. You have to be here, you have to work here for over a year first to join, and then the vesting schedule is 5 years. So you get 20% a year of whatever's put away for you. Now the company match for the 401k is yours immediately. Yeah, we have a very rich benefit program, I feel. And I think that really helps us with retention. And again, it kind of goes along with our company culture to take care of one another and do so. Great question.
Okay, it looks like if anybody else has any more questions, just raise your hand or type it in the chat box and we'll be happy to answer. But I think that looks like it's it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it for questions.
All right. Well, again, everybody, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day. I hope you got some nuggets out of it. And, you know, I know a bunch of us are going to be in Orlando in a few weeks. I look forward to seeing folks there. So if that's it, I think that's it. Thank you very much.